Hello everyone, welcome back to Super Robot Wars. It's time to leave. It's time to leave. I'm Drunken
So,
Dan.
so I was gonna open this with like some kind of joke about how Google killed Stadia, but they haven't killed it. They've just pushed it down the stairs and it's now in a coma, and they're threatening to take it off life support. But they've not quite reached that point yet. I think they're just leaving it a bit so the lawyers don't get a little, so the lawyer or the prosecution doesn't immediately go, "You just murdered Stadia for for the insurance money." Well, this long and winded analogy is, Google has, before even putting out a single game, shut down both of its internals, game devs for Google Stadia. Which, I mean, when you shut down the entire production wing or the entire development wing of your own system or your own, I mean, even though it's not a console, it's a console.
Yeah.
That's and their whole thing was, oh well, other people will develop for it. It's like, well, if you don't have the confidence to develop for it, what the fuck do you think any other game company is going to develop for Stadia? Like, at best, you'll have companies say, oh yeah, it's also available on Stadia, I guess. But here's the thing:
Oh shit.
it's showing.
No, it's fine. I just dropped my controller.
Google's showing like literally zero fucking faith in the Stadia concept. And it's like, why should the consumer put any stock in Stadia? Because, hey, guess what? It's like there's a good chance that if whatever you purchase will be null and void, and like not that long in the not too distant future.
To be honest with you, like, given that I live kind of more in a rural area, I never even saw where you could buy one if I wanted to, which I don't, because you know what it is.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. We've kind of talked before about the pitfalls of streaming games because it's all well and good if you live in like South Korea or Japan. Not so good if you live in the arsehole of nowhere.
Or America.
Yeah, or any like Western developed station or any sort of like Western developed nation, honestly.
Yeah, because the internet here sucks because companies don't want to upgrade and don't have to compete with each other because they have their weird fucking turf laws and shit. It's stupid.
But all of that to say, it's like, yeah, like Google have effectively killed it. They're just pretending they've not.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's kind of one of those things where it's like everyone knows. So as I said, yeah, like what company will want to willingly develop for Stadia? Like exclusively for Stadia, I mean, and then the best you'll get is, oh yeah, other companies might put their games on Stadia, but then it's like, yeah, why would they?
Yeah, why take the risk? Yeah.
It would be like if like in the olden days, if Sega came out and said, all right, so we're gonna stop development of we're gonna stop, like we're gonna keep supporting the Dreamcast, but we're not gonna make any games for it ourselves anymore.
Yeah.
Or if Nintendo pulled that shit these days, or Sony.
Really, any of the.
I
Well,
mean,
actually, hold on. Nintendo has done that.
Said we're not. Oh yeah, we're not going to support games for this.
Remember where they were like they've done similar where they're like, oh yeah, the DS isn't replacing the GBA, the 3DS isn't replacing the DS, the Switch isn't replacing the 3DS.
Oh, I mean they lied about it, but then yeah, like they've definitely not supported any of those in house. It's just because of the cheap costs of putting stuff on shovelware, or like shovelware on those systems. They inexplicably get like background support.
Occasionally, depending on system.
Well, didn't the fucking Wii get the latest Just Dance or something?
I don't know.
I think it did.
But that was also a couple years ago. I think the latest one came out.
Oh, I mean like the one that came out like sort of, well, obviously not this year, but like last year.
No, because the last time I remember this being a joke was when the Switch wasn't out yet, but the Wii got one, and not the Wii U or something like that. It's been a while. I mean, you can just look it up if you want.
Yeah, Just Dance 2020 came out on the Nintendo Wii.
Huh.
And also Google Stadia, funnily enough. Well. Not sure which is the more dead platform at this point.
You know what? Hey. I'm sure all 6 of the Stadia players are so happy to see it.
I mean, I think they'll be less happy when in a few months' time, they can't see it anymore because it's gone.
Forever,
Because,
and it's literally a brick.
Yeah.
Man, digital-only console is a great idea, isn't it? Digital only, but you don't even have the files on your system.
Digital only, but you don't own shit.
Yes, you just have a brick. That thing is literally a brick. You just paid. No. Brick is actually useful. I'm sorry. Why do I keep saying this? Bricks are useful. This is not.
I'm sure you could gut the Stadia and put something useful in it. I watched a video of a guy gutting a useless NES and putting a one of the Raspberry Pi mini computers. Have you seen them? It's like a motherboard that's the size of a phone.
I think I haven't seen the one where they've done that, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I might link you after this, but it's a guy basically converted an old NES into. I mean, effectively it's a mini PC, but he's using it for basically just for emulation stuff.
That is pretty cool, though.
And even rigged it up so it unlike with say normally you'd have to go through a whole shutdown process. He has just a straight up power button, so it switches on just like a console. I will link you that video. It's pretty neat. But yeah, so Stadia is dead, basically. I mean, not dead, but dead.
It's pretty much dead. It's just not in the. They just haven't closed the fucking coffin yet.
It's been poisoned. It's been flown out to another country to receive treatment, but it's going to get arrested the second it lands in Moscow. I mean, Google. And unlike that, I don't think people are going to be mad enough to get arrested to protest. I think if I mentioned it, but I fucking love that those protests have the most Russian resolution to it all, which is that they literally ran out of room to hold all the people they arrested.
Yeah, it sounds about yeah.
But it's a bit awful as well because they wound up people spending fucking night in a van, a police van. But it is literally the Russians.
It's what we expect from the Russians.
I mean, I expected them to get murdered, but you know. So, I mean...
Oh, I forgot to go on D&D, and I just heard a bloop. There we go, my bad.
Yep, professionalism.
What's that?
So,
I don't know what that is.
I love how... So, we didn't talk about it because we skipped a week, and these are already outdated enough as it is. But I'm guessing you saw the screenshots from the new from the Mass Effect remaster.
I think I saw one. I don't remember much about it though.
Well, I saw all of them, and I remember one thing. Why? There's just literally every screenshot, just big old fucking lens flare.
I remember they did something weird with the effects, but I couldn't remember what it was because I looked at it for a second, was like, that looks weird, and then looked away.
It was literally just fucking lens flare after lens flare in all the official things. It's kind of incredible. So it's what
I'm predicting then is that they've added lens flare to everything and also motion blur, my favorite effect.
I actually have a slightly iffy theory about the whole thing as well, by the way, in that I kind of want to say the reason they've pushed out all these lens flares is so that people can't do the thing that they always do with these remasters, which is, hey, look at how much worse this game looks compared to the original. Remember when the Arkham One came out, and the first thing that came up was, wow, look how awful Joker looks in this version.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. You might be right. You might be onto something.
And that's kind of my game theory, if you will.
Listen, I can't end another video on that. I can't do it again. I already did that in the last one.
Oh no, MatPat reuses the same content over and over and over again.
See, I almost I wanted to blurt out like a random thing with "Is Mario this?" and I'm just like, the problem is I'll do that, and then like in like
Then
2
it'll
months' time he'll make that as a video, and I'll be like, wait a minute, did he watch my fucking thing?
Is the reason Mario has a mustache because he participates in Movember?
Is Mario's nose so big because there's a meatball lodged up it? Does Does Luigi have a head of lettuce stuck up his nose? Game theory.
Man, can Disney go a week without landing itself in the shits? The answer is
No.
Nah, so I guess we could actually also talk about that one.
Oh
right?
yeah, oh shit, we're still bleeding money. Let's kill Blue Sky and get rid of a bunch of jobs.
Oh, we're talking about different things. I was talking about how that Mandalorian star got actually.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about the older one. Yeah, I was just mentioning the older one. I did hear about the Mandalorian one though.
Yeah.
I
mean, I did see what she said, and while it's like it's a little bit like
it's pretty bad.
It's bad, but then on the other hand, it's like, it's like, well, and like part of it was just saying, you know, oh, what there are all these. I think the main problem with it is it kind of, I mean, it colors this percent, it sort of reinforces this idea. I mean, it's not inherently wrong in what she says, and I will extrapolate and say that there were definitely people who were collaborators with the Nazis in that sense, but a significant chunk of the population at the time had nothing to do with those sort of things, and you can argue a case of willful ignorance till you're blue in the face, but the fact is, like, events happen the way they did, and as I said, you're trying to be as even-handed about this as you can. And I do think people have raise a lot of interesting points. And if Disney takes offense to this, why do they work with China so much? Wasn't there a thing about them filming basically next to one of China's re-education centers?
I'm not sure.
You could hear the air quotes when I said re-education.
Yeah, no, I could hear it, but I don't know if they did or not. So I can't say yes or no.
Yeah, I heard someone say that, and I'm like, I'm not 100% sure. I agree, I know that, but so I'm not gonna say it's true or not. But it is something that has been said. But
yeah,
I don't know.
And you always gotta take a grain of salt with what people say online too.
As has been proven with this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's kind of shitty it's going on for all parties involved, because, you know, it's setting interesting precedents for the future, but then it's like, at the end of the day, it's kind of the whole subject was something that didn't necessarily need to be brought up, and certainly not in the way and the tactless manner that it was. I mean, it turns out, like many things, talking about this major historical event is incredibly complicated. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have, like, a major opinion on it. Like, I'm just like, yeah, what you said was shit. I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm just kind of like, and I'm just kind of like, on it. Like, not on it, but in terms of, like, the ramifications of it, I'm just like, I
mean, I still see Mandalorian, and I can't, and see, it's still.
I mean, you're done with Star Wars, so.
Yeah, well, I'm done with. I am willing to watch The Mandalorian just because people say it's good, but it's like I ain't paying for a Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah, there's that too.
Unless someone I know just gives me their pass, says, "Oh, hey, I've got it. Here, you can have my password." And
like, I've thought about getting it mainly because like the Muppets got put on and shit, and I wouldn't mind watching the Muppets. But...
I mean, because I look after my young nieces quite often, or I did. I would have got it. Honestly, if not for this whole lockdown thing. But it's like, well, I don't see the kids often enough now to justify it. Well,
so it's not. Yeah, it's not. The cost isn't really justifiable for you.
So it's like, well, why bother getting that when, like, the few times I might see them, I'll just put on like a DVD or something, and they can yell about watching. As long as it's not Frozen, obviously.
Oh, your favorite one?
Just problem is the oldest has a singing Elsa doll from the new movie. See. And I've contemplated a couple times just throwing it in the river, but you know.
See, my parents were smart. They rarely would let me get toys that could sing or talk.
The problem is I don't really like their parents, so I buy them things intentionally that do sing and talk just to piss them off.
Ah, understandable.
So, you know.
Oh, but,
As I explained to my father, our family only manages to show affection through physical and verbal abuse and emotional abuse as well. So it's not a trained family event unless someone walks away with a new story to tell a psychiatrist.
So anyway, to kind of move to another stupid thing. So I am going to. Huh?
Actually, like, I want to quickly run back because I didn't mention the other like funniest thing I found about the whole Mass Effect Remastered thing.
Okay.
So, you know how they did that like super cash edition, right? Which comes with the helmet and the steelbook and this, and this.
Yeah, the super fuck you. This is gonna cost you an arm and a leg for a bunch of tat special edition.
Yeah. Do you know what it doesn't come with?
The game.
The game.
How did I fucking know? I fucking knew it.
And I wouldn't find it so funny, except for the fact that one of the included things is a steelbook case for the game.
This isn't the first time I've seen this, but I'm not surprised still.
But it's like, so it's not enough that you're spending $150 or whatever for all of this stuff, but you're not even getting the game for that. So what you're actually doing is you're spending, because I mean,
you're basically buying an expensive loot crate.
So you're buying the expensive loot crate, but also buying the game. So even though it's like $150, it's actually like $210, probably more.
What a steal!
And it's like, I get it. Like, maybe I kind of even joke. Maybe they just want to do like reverse Bethesda. They want to make one of these things that's so like not that people should be like so not into that they don't have to like worry about stock issues like Bethesda did with 76. Maybe that's their plan.
It's not impossible, I guess.
Remember there was that like $1 million edition of Saints Row 4 for a joke, and then someone actually bought it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So it might just be one of those things of, well, if we do something so ridiculous, people won't like buy it or buy it that many copies. But yeah, and I just found it ridiculous that it's like, oh yeah, you can buy all of this extra guff, but not the game.
No game, only guff.
So it's like, what's the point of giving out the fucking steelbook if you're not going to get the game? Like, if you're not going to do the game, fine, just get out the fucking steelbook case because, I mean, I assume most people are just going to get it digitally because, you know, that's just the way these things go now.
I have no earthly idea.
But I mean, also there's the other thing that Mass Effect's now removed all of the TNA, and I'm like, okay. Did you remove the fucking endings though?
No, we keep those.
You know what? I really hope the remastered version of 3 uses the original game endings.
Oh, not even the patch. Not even the patch.
Yeah, I fucking hope that's DLC. That's what I'm really hoping.
I wouldn't even put it past them. That's the fucked part.
Well, I mean, they got butt mad when people were like, "This ending sucked." When I mean, it is literally. I mean, people probably don't remember, but Mass Effect 3 was the Cyberpunk 2077 of the 2010s or whenever it came out.
Mind you, even if we look at the two, Mass Effect 3 isn't nearly as bad.
No, but it is still the case of like the people of like the production people.
Like the closest thing we have to what Cyberpunk did is fucking 76.
Yeah. But then 76 is even more the gift that kept on giving.
Yeah, for so long. Cyberpunk was basically Cyberpunk was 76. No, Cyberpunk 76 was Fallout 76. So, I'm getting the numbers wrong, but you know what I mean. They sped run what 76 did in like a month. What 76 took like over a year to do for the most part. There's only a couple things they haven't done yet.
The major difference between the two is that 76 was a multiplayer game, so there was the incentive to keep playing it beyond just the normal, whereas 2077 is a single-player game, and those kind of always go the same way, in the sense that you'll get the diehards who will play them forever, but most people will play a game for a week and go, oh, this is fun, and then maybe you'll get some dumb meme that comes out of it. The only problem with Cyberpunk 2077 is it itself became the dumb meme.
Yeah, the meme wasn't anything in the game or the game being good. The meme was that the game wasn't good, though I do occasionally see people be like, man, this game is really good! And I'm just like, what? What? I have eyes, what?
I mean, it's good for the 5 minutes before you run into the first game-destroying glitch or bug or crash.
Even then, from what I understand, it's fairly, like, mid at best.
Yeah, it's a average sort of not GTA with RPG elements from what I've seen.
It's basically like a watered down Deus Ex from what I've seen.
Yeah, but I mentioned GTA because
Deus Ex specifically, I meant like Human Revolution, those ones.
Yeah. Where your choices matter, sort of, in the sense of, and to be fair, Deus Ex has the same issue.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like those, but like watered down. Like it's not quite as good as those.
The main difference is that because Deus Ex doesn't have hasn't got nearly as much stuff, it makes has a lot more side content and things to do, and there's more. So while the story-wise the only choice that matters is the final one, there's a whole bunch of like side quests and stuff that at least gives you more to do in your.
Yeah, the final one is what matters the most. Everything else, at most, you just get like a bit of different dialogue if you killed less people from Jensen, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, Jensen will just note, like, yeah, I didn't kill a whole lot of people. I showed restraint, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically just a not quite as good version of that. If you were to, fix the game up and make it the game that it was I can't even say supposed to be, because they didn't advertise it as that. They advertised it as, like, more like a Outer Worlds or a Fallout New Vegas. That's how they advertised it. It's not what the game was.
At first, they've since, like...
As time went on, they started ratcheting it back, and...
Yeah, it's more of an action-adventure RPG instead of a, open world... Well... But yeah, we kind of talked a lot about it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, it's mostly fascinating because it has effectively just had it's had its time in the sun of the haha, look at this, isn't this stupid? And it's like now we're
Which I guess at least means it'll be remembered a lot easier, or a lot better. It'll at least be remembered more than say something like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like fucking Death. I get the names mixed up. Is it Death Stranding? I always get these names. Death Stranding. Yes, I got it right this time.
Yeah, Death Stranding will.
Which everyone kind of forgot, like immediately.
Yeah.
Or hell, actually, Shenmue 3 is only really remembered by Shenmue fans as being a disappointment. Everybody else just forgot it.
Yeah, I would say Shenmue 3. On the basis that Shenmue was never. Really,
it was never good, but like.
No, I mean Shenmue was. You had like the 12 people who went like die hard on Shenmue's great, bring it back, and then most of the other people were like. Most of the other people were, oh, I heard this game was good, and bring it back. And then they played it, and I was like, wow, why don't I just play Yakuza instead?
Yeah, that's what happened with a lot of people because they re-released the original 2 Shenmue games, because people really didn't play them. The only people
because they kickstarted 3 and they were building up to releasing it, and they thought, hey, we'll remaster Shenmue 1 and 2, and that might get people interested in playing 3.
But I remember that happened, and I remember. I think like I right away in one of our recordings when they announced, I said like what's going to happen is everyone's going to realize this game sucks, and that's exactly what happened. Is that the only people that are still like in the bandwagon of Shenmue are like super diehard, but even they have like mostly died out at this point. Like a lot of the Shenmue diehards have died; they're mostly dead now. That's why you don't really hear Shenmue anymore. Thank God.
Well, it's because once you've had your third iteration of a game series
that doesn't end.
That's never been popular. I was never going to say that it doesn't end, because plenty of stuff doesn't end. I just meant in the sense that it's never been. And it's not even talking about the quality. But it's never made any money.
Yeah. Also, it's funny. It's actually with the doesn't end thing. What's funny is a lot of Shenmue's fans, for some reason, What the? Oh, that was weird. A lot of Shenmue's fans, for some reason, thought that this was somehow going to wrap up Ryo's story, and what I don't understand is why a lot of them don't know what I know about Shenmue, and I'm not a fan of Shenmue, and that's the fact that the creator wanted to do this, like, 15-chapter story, and we're not even, like, in chapter 4 for this guy. So, like, and from what I understand, the way 3 also ends is it ends the exact way 2 did. Fucking Landy escapes again, and you don't get to punch him in the face for killing your dad.
How about spotting the man who killed my father? There he is. Oh, he just got away. I will chase you to the next part.
Like, when people are like, "Oh, it's such a deep story," I'm like, it's literally a basic story. It's basically like one of the. It's basically like a shonen where there's a character trying to chase the other character and they just keep getting away for like 300 episodes.
Isn't that called Inuyasha?
Yes. Literally Inuyasha.
That's the one thing I know about Inuyasha.
Because
it has one villain that they chase for the entire show, all 300 episodes.
Because what happened was, with that series, was it was supposed to end ages ago, and then they got super popular, and then it just didn't want to fucking end. Well, the higher-ups didn't want it to end, because it was so fucking profitable. So it just stayed alive forever. And they literally just had this keep happening, where they're like, alright, we're gonna finally get, oh, I'm forgetting his goddamn name. What was the villain's name?
I don't know.
Moroku? No, not Moroku. It's not Shishio. Shishio is the brother. I literally am forgetting his name. Whatever. Whatever, fuck it. Doesn't fucking matter. But, it was just funny, though, that, like, what's funny is, to me, about Shenmue is that it's always been a game of just filler. It's just excess filler. It's just wasting time. Even the game, the way it's built, is it's built to waste your time.
What? His comparison is the one that everyone makes, and it's Yakuza, but it's Yakuza if Yakuza didn't wrap up in, like, yeah, I know you could say, well, Yakuza's on its, like, 15th entry of the series, and it's like, yeah, but...
Yeah, we're just talking about the first game.
Yeah, but they're all, like, self-contained. They're also all self-contained things. Like, no, there's no, like, apart from a few elements, there's no, like, major...
There's references.
It's not as if like Yakuza 2 ends with Kiryu being like, I'll get you next time, Nishiki.
Yeah, it's and like so even with the first game, like if we were to take the first game story and then be like, all right, how would the Shenmue guy approach this? Yakuza 1 would have ended with Kiryu going to prison. And that's me being probably generous, actually. Because you'd probably spend several days trying to get the stuff for the necklace. Like, you would get part of the necklace and the place would close, and you gotta wait till the next day. You gotta piss around for a while. Because the game, I know people refer to games as time wasters, but this is a game literally designed to waste your time. Like, it's literally wants to waste time. It does not care. It is so fucking pretentious in its fucking, I'm going to be so immersive. It is pretension. That game is pretension. When I think of a video game and think of pretension, I think of fucking Shenmue. It is such an insipid, stupid plot that thinks it's so fucking important, and it just wastes your time.
Here's the thing, right? You can have, like, time dictate, or time, related... missions and side quests and things, because Grand Theft Auto has been doing that since, like...
RPGs have been doing that since the fucking 90s.
Yeah. What I'm getting at, though, is the main way you get around that is you provide enough additional side content or other things to do in the world that make it interesting, It's kind of like, there's a whole, like, thing I have where I say, if you're building, like, an open world RPG kind of thing, the very first thing you need to immediately do is make sure you get the way you move around the map, like, down pat, because if your movement is such a fundamental, like, aspect of, like, game design, and it's kind of insane to me how so many developers get that wrong. Like,
right.
Well, like, I mean, games we played on this channel, like, we played Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is so fun.
they got it. Like, you can just have fun, just getting from point A to point B, and that's what makes that game like hold up as well as it does. But I do think it's in the top 3 of Spider-Man games, but I keep flip-flopping as to which one I think is the best.
That's fair. Spider-Man has a good track record in terms of video games.
Spider-Man has the best track record.
Yeah, out of all like not even superheroes, just licensed characters, he has the best track record.
Because, well, off the top of my head, the PS1 Spideys, both amazing, both great.
Yeah.
First one's the best. It's like gets everything perfect. That's probably is my number one, even though it's arguably the worst of the good games. Spider-Man 2, everyone knows. It's like we all grew up on that. It's like the best movie game ever made. All made by like one guy obsessively trying to get swinging mechanics down.
Yeah. Now I'm a little bit more of a fan of Ultimate, but Ultimate wouldn't exist without 2. Sorry.
Ultimate's also great. Ultimate's also really solid. I'd even say the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 games are okay. Like, they're fine for what they are, comparatively to, like, say, they don't have the issue of the models looking absolutely horrific like Spider-Man 3 did.
What do you mean? You don't like that scene of Spider-Man falling and I think that's supposed to be MJ with the bomb?
It's just some rando. The actual, like, proper character models are slightly better, but the NPCs definitely suffer. But, yeah, like, you've got a lot of really solid Spider-Man games. I mean, fucking Spider-Man on, like, Game Boy or Game Boy Color was great.
Yeah. But yeah, you can the short version is you can find, if you want a good Spider-Man experience, you got it.
Yeah, if you want a good Batman experience, you have, like, 2 options.
You have Arkham City. There are some fun, like, 16-bit brawler games of him, but
I mean, like,
even there are a lot. Even like if we're gonna go there and bring the Spider-Man ones in that, even some of the Spider-Man. Nah, Batman's a little better in that regard. There are some okay Spider-Man ones, but
I was gonna say, like, I mean, Maximum Carnage is arguably the best one, and that's just that is at best your bog standard, but slightly like average side-scrolling beat 'em up. And I said that's
actually, you know what? Actually, you know what? No. When it comes to numbers, I think Batman in the 16-bit era does have Spider-Man beat. But there are, even in those types of games, there are better things you could play.
And then that's kind of it in terms of characters, in terms of like comic book characters who have like really solid adaptations.
Yeah.
Because we all know about the bad Superman games.
Yeah, Superman is not someone you can really translate to video game easily.
I kind of would say you probably could. It's just
you could.
It's most of the times it's like it's made by, they get licensed by developers who are lacking in time and funds, like famously,
or they're actively getting screwed over by Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So, and then Warner Brothers doesn't really have any desire, or WB Games has no desire to do any like stuff with those properties.
With anything other than Batman.
Well, it's not even no, but that's the thing is like WB Games has nothing to do with those anyway, because they like all the Arkham stuff's farmed out to Rocksteady, and that one.
Well, I mean, like Warner Brothers doesn't really have any desire to do any DC characters other than Batman.
And then I'm kind of,
when they use Superman, they usually just turn him into a villain.
And I'm kind of baffled that there's not like been a like, I know there were Iron Man movie games. I guess Hulk's had at least one good game.
Iron Man would translate pretty well too.
Hulk's had at least one good game.
Oh yeah, he has.
Ultimate Destruction. People say the Captain America movie game was decent, but like I don't really qualify that. And yeah, I don't think anyone else has ever had like a solo game that's been like, or like, let alone multiple games in the way that those characters, like, there's a fucking million Spider-Man games.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I did want to kind of go into. This is like my own thing, so I'm going to first start with saying, you're gonna have to hold your breath for this. I'm going to say something positive about FF7 Remake.
Sure.
So one thing that I've always made fun of the original for is how like Aerith is written, like at one point in the game. You know, when her characterization completely flips.
When she arguably gets possessed by the planet. Like 5 minutes before she dies.
But
spoilers! I spoiled that Aerith dies.
But what I do like that 7 Remake did was they kind of mixed the personality aspects of the Goblin in that to make that their version of Aerith, and it works better.
She's not that fundamental. She's not even really. She's pretty much like more or less the same as she was when she is in the original. The only difference is you have a lot more time with her where she's talking, because obviously, and then even aside from the fact that FF7 Remake is like 40 hours of a 3-hour segment of the game.
Yeah, but you still though the way they did the characterization was better.
Luckily, I mean, everyone kind of thankfully got rolled back to what they should have been. Like Cloud's a lot more just socially awkward and just kind of more of a mercenary than
right.
Like,
now what I will say, a byproduct of this game I've noticed is
Aerith is more popular now.
No. I mean, well, yes, but also no. That wasn't what I was gonna get into. I've noticed the resurgence of those Square fans, the ones where when you make a critique about Square at all, they fucking come for your throat like it's 2010.
I miss those guys.
Yeah, they're back.
In Pog form.
Because you know how like I've one of my complaints about them going with the combat they're going with is that they keep putting Final Fantasy into like they say a tweaked version of the Kingdom Hearts engine for the fight system.
Yeah.
So I pissed off a lot of Square fans with that. And the brain rot was crazy enough to where one of them was like, no, it's not the Kingdom Hearts engine, it's actually an evolution of Final Fantasy XIII's combat engine.
I mean, no, because 13 was still turn-based.
Yeah, I literally was just like, are you fucking serious? Are you just like so mad right now? I can't even be right. What the fuck? What is this?
Like, the only difference, or the only thing with Final Fantasy 13 was it just had like more style. I guess you could say stylish flair on its turns, but it's still hard,
it was a turn-based, yeah.
The characters are doing more action in the world compared to like say FF10, but like they're still turn-based. Like your literal closest parallels are Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy 15, and I say this as someone who likes Kingdom Hearts and FF7 Remake.
And I like Kingdom Hearts. And 7 Remake, it just wasn't what I want from it, but I also want to wait until I really get into it for when the other chapters are out. Because I'm anal about that.
I'm cautiously optimistic in the sense that I'm working on the basis that there's no way I can lose. If they somehow pull a miracle and the game as a whole is good, then neat. But if it goes the way I think it does and the more it gets fucky, then also great, because I fucking love telling people about Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, and how just like stupid.
You have no idea the amount of joy I've gotten from telling people. So hey, you know how Sora has this X on his clothes, right? You know that's so that the organization can track him because the X means the key, and the key is a special letter. And like, what about all the other characters who have X's? No, just Sora. And you're like, what? Oh, it's time travel. And they're like, wasn't this game about Disney? Yes, it was. But yeah, I would love to be able to have another version of that where I can explain. So here's the point where it all went fucky. So I can't lose.
So either A, you'll get something good, or you'll be like, let me tell you a story.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the only way to approach this game. That's the only way to approach anything with the phrase directed by Nomura attached to it.
Fair.
It's like, it's your only hope.
Just double checking.
But
just double checking my what I need to do. Okay, I was just double checking what I need to do for the map stuff.
So I guess slightly related to that, I love how there's the
only thing I wanted to add with that was it was just funny. It's just funny to see them again, because it sincerely felt like I was even making jokes about it. I was like, did I fall into a time warp? Is this 2010 again? Is the Spoony one not quite crazy yet?
Does he not threaten to rape one of his colleagues? That feels. I always feel mean saying that because it was a joke, but also it is what happened.
But
so he did actually lose his mind. So
yeah, but
it's
so but it's weird seeing them again because like it's weird just seeing that style of Square fan again because they've been dormant for a long time. Like they have not stuck their heads out of their houses in a long time.
Because not being funny, like after 13, and the main reason 13 got sort of the notoriety was because it had all these really gorgeous visuals and bright CGI trailers before people cottoned on. Because this was like, you know, new console generation, Final Fantasy, blah blah blah. So that's the reason why the general population kind of latched on or made it more of a deal of that Final Fantasy 13. And 14 is a Momorpaga, and no matter how good it might be, it's still always going to only appeal to a very specific crowd. But yeah, and then 15. Well, 15
kind of happened and left.
Yeah, so I don't think there's been a game.
Like, I remember someone. I had one friend who was super into 15, and they loved it, and they loved the character of Noctis. But that was like they were like the one.
Wait, no, really, Noctis? Of all the boys, they picked Noctis.
Yes.
That's their husband, though.
He liked Noctis because he said he could relate to Noctis, and I was like, oh, okay.
Why did he have a girl? Did he have a wife that he never met or interacted with?
I don't know.
While his boy band crew rocked around with him.
Mind you, I haven't talked to him in ages, and the last conversation I had with him was him getting mad when I said Last of Us 2 wasn't very good.
Oh, you poked that. Oh, I just don't ever talk about that game.
I don't talk about it much. This is a while ago. I have not talked about the last time I probably talked about it, other than just right now is passing, was when we were making fun of the Game Awards.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that like it doesn't like I don't. It doesn't really have like space for rent in my head. It's like every now and then it's like if I see like art or something of it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was a game, I guess, and then it just clicks out of my head quickly.
The main reason I talk about all of this is because it's like until FF7 Remake, Final Fantasy's not really been broken out of its like because most of the FF stuff's been like sort of side game that most people don't give two flying shits about.
Right.
And until
but I mean, like even when 13 happened, they started kind of getting beaten down. Those types of Square fans, like they were not very talkative during that era.
But I just mean that since like 13 was the last game I can think of where it sort of broke into the general gamer. I hate using the term, but that sort of general. Yeah, it feels odd to me that word's been ruined, but it has.
You can only blame the gamers, TM.
Well, I do, and I kind of hope they all get like brain aneurysms.
Don't worry, they already do.
So it's like why should things I like have to be ruined by other people? You know. That's why everyone should die.
That was an escalation.
But yeah, so until FF7 Remake, there's never been a Final Fantasy that's really broken out of just the Final Fantasy fan sort of circle jerk. And now it's in the general gaming circle jerk because FF7 was a game that sold a lot and people liked it or talked about it.
Now, I know some of the arguments when I said what it was like saying, because like one of the things I don't like about Square is they have this weird mentality with turn-based. Like they've put out like turn-based games, yeah, like but barring like Dragon Quest, they're always surprised when they sell well, and they actively just are kind of embarrassed by them. And it's just so weird to me
because Square is a Japanese company that is basically trying to do what Capcom tried to do, and I guess sort of just trying to do again because don't learn. In that it wants to pander more to Western audiences. Although apparently, this is something Sabo said to me, that the gaming industry in Japan is to a point where most companies are now thinking more along the lines of how do we sell more to the West. So...
And on the other side of it too, funny enough, RPGs, like turn-based RPGs, have been getting more popular in the West, where they weren't like a couple of years. Like, I hate to give it to them, but like it seemed like around the time of like P5 they started getting more popular in the West?
I'd say it's more. I say it's sort of like it's the thing where it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, in the sense that it's like I think Persona 5 was less of a, oh, this gets a whole new crowd into the genre, as much as it's like, oh, this game sold well, so that means companies are now more interested / eager. And I think it was even before P5, it was sort of becoming more of a
It's
trend,
more a dormant, more of a dormant genre that people have been hungry for, and since that game sold well, companies are like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, companies are now more along the lines of, oh, this genre sells, because I mean, part of the I'm not sure it ever had like the full level of the fighting game genre.
The closest you'd have is the PS2 had a lot of really very, how do I put this, below average RPGs that had really bad combat systems where you would just...
I'll tell you what. No, actually, I think I've got it. I think I worked out. So like the fighting game genre kind of killed itself because there were so many like games being released at such rapid succession, and also Capcom releasing like 5 different fighting game like franchises to compete with each other in an era where arcades were dying, and therefore, but like fighting games weren't necessarily a sustainable market. But I think the problem with like RPGs became the belief that it became the sort of perceived idea of a cost. So you remember back in the late PS2 and the entire, like a lot of the PS3 run, Sony demanded that any game released on there that came out in the West had to have full like English dub.
Oh yeah, and also they were very, also in that era too, they were very anti 2D, like in PS2 era. They dropped out of it more in PS3, but they were like, you pretty much had to make weird deals with them. Like SNK used to have to make weird deals with them to get 2D games on the console and brought to the West.
And in a really weird turn of it, it's also kind of anti-Japanese games. It's kind of hard. It's kind of weird, but yeah. So I think that partially, like, because you had Japanese like RPGs which have like fuckloads of talking, modern ones. You had a lot of developers that were still releasing content, but like the app, like bearing in mind, like we talk, like Trails in the Sky is fully voiced in Japanese.
Yeah.
Whereas over in the West, it's like you have a few like characters have like 1 or 2 lines in battle, and that's the best you get. So yeah. It's the case where like a lot of games were like just. Yeah, it wasn't cost effective to make a game or to localize a game that you then had to hire like fuckloads of VAs to voice and then also translate and all of this. So I think it's more the case of it's like now that people know that it's a lot more of a surefire. If there's a lot more of a market for it, they're more willing to take those kind of gambles.
Yeah. And also, too, like, some of them will just, like, throw it up on Steam, because Steam is really cheap to produce a game on, too.
Yeah, and also the knowledge that you don't really have to localize anything. You could, like, most people
on PC are more okay with, like, if they're buying a Japanese game on PC, they're more okay with if it doesn't have localization, and it's just a Japanese dub.
I even think most people who would buy on console, because if you're buying those games, they're the kind of things you're into. You're not like casually just going, oh yeah, I'm just going to buy like Etrian Odyssey 5 or whatever. You're just going to go like, yeah, I'll just get like this. I'm not, because it's like the Final Fantasy problem in the sense of everyone's like, well, I didn't play the first 7, how can I play this one? And yeah, so it's only the people who really like have in knowledge or understanding of what they're getting into are going to buy these kind of games anyway. Like, Persona appeals to a very specific group of people, and people who have actually played Persona are significantly less than the people who like Persona. Persona fans joke about it themselves.
There are certain Persona fans who get really mad when you make these jokes.
When you say that a lot of fans haven't played the game?
That you're saying Persona fans haven't played Persona.
No.
Usually I think it's probably those ones. I still remember one of my favorite fucking posts I saw was, it was a basic thing from Persona was being referenced, or mentioned from 5, and a person going, "Hey, shut up! Shut up! You just spoiled something." And I can't. And it was like, or something where like, Nintendo spoiled it or something like stupid like that. And someone's like, "Bitch, your avatar's Joker. What the fuck?"
Oh right, yeah.
I don't remember
No, I
the
think
exact
it
one because it was a while
It was
ago.
worse than that. I think they were literally saying, "Who's that?"
Oh yeah, they didn't know who a character was,
No, they didn't know who Joker was.
and they had a Joker avatar.
I think actually, fuck no, I remember what now. That wasn't even Joker. That was fucking Cowboy Bebop, is the one I'm thinking of. Someone had a Spike Spiegel avatar.
Oh, I've seen that one. That was recent.
Yeah, that was recent.
Because they were like, who? Because it was a picture of Faye, and their
Yeah.
avatar was Spike, and they're like, "Who's this girl? Sauce?" And so it's just like your avatar.
Yeah, it's but I mean, I don't even like. I don't dislike people who have, if they've not played Persona but enjoy it. It's like, whatever.
Right. I mean, I
I'm
don't
thinking
really.
of missing out, but like, I don't care. But you also can't escape the fact that it does appeal to a very specific kind of fan base, and and the people in that fan base don't necessarily play video games. It's the best way I can phrase that. To be like completely blunt, it's because it appeals to weeaboos, not all weeaboos.
I was gonna say
like,
weebs, and
Yeah,
not all
not
weebs play
all.
video games.
Yeah.
We say as I'm playing an import game of a bunch of fucking
Oh,
giant robots.
That's the point. Like, I don't think we're exempt from that kind of criticism.
I mean, yeah, I've literally imported a game from fucking Singapore that's just a bunch of giant robot animes mashed together. I am 100% a weeb, and I will never pretend not to be.
One of them's a goddamn isekai.
Yeah, we're on the isekai map.
Fucking isekais.
Hey, it's one of the few isekais I actually like. There's not many.
Well, bully for you.
It's kind of like slice of life. There's like two I can think of that I like: Azumanga Daioh and Nichijou, and that's it.
Man, I saw the new design for She-Hulk recently, and I was like, wow, this is awful.
Oh, another one?
Yeah.
Or
it's
is
the one
this,
where
or
she
is this the buff one?
It's the buff one, but also she has a braid and also no eyes.
What the? Send me this. I need to see this. If it's bad enough, I'll throw it in the video if I remember.
But I just but
Please let me see this. I gotta see this. I am curious because I was like, the buff one looked bad, but the worst part was the fact that they got rid of her personality. That was the part that really bugged me. So I'm so fucking curious by this. I mean, it's been a while since I've made fun of comic book stuff for a while because my best friend hasn't done anything in a while to warrant people noticing, or me noticing at least.
I'm guessing this is kind of Phoenix Force thing, in which case I'm like, man, bring back Phoenix Force already.
You know, it's not great, but it's slightly less bad than the other one, but still not great.
It's still awful. This is so awful. It's like still laughable.
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's just the issue is it's basically a following act to something that was significantly worse. I'm just like, oh okay. So it's that thing where it's like, yeah, if I saw this one first, I'd be like, oh god, this is terrible, and then I saw the other one, I'd be like, oh my fuck. It'd be like that, but this is just like, oh, you've already desensitized me. If you're trying to do this, you gotta go worse than this.
I did a sort of deep dive into like cancelled superhero stuff and superhero movie stuff, mostly because I watched a sort of crowdfunded documentary about the cancelled Tim Burton Superman Lives movie with Nick Cage, and then I watched another video going into details on it, and it's like, it put me in the awkward position of feeling sorry for Kevin Smith.
See, I don't know much about it.
Alright. It's basically in like the 90s. So there was going to be a Superman 5 with Christopher Reeve, but he said no. He didn't want to do it. He was old, and so they thought, fuck it, well let's just reboot, because you know Batman's still ongoing. So we're gonna do like they had this whole thing where they were arsing around trying to get a script. Kevin Smith, through like a series of coincidences, got pulled in off of. I think he was doing Chasing Amy. I think he'd just done Chasing Amy, which is like this is like actual the.
Yeah, isn't that like infamously bad?
No. Chasing Amy is the one that's actually good that people like.
Oh, it's the good one. Okay.
Mallrats is the one that nobody liked, and Clerks is the one that he made basically in his workplace for $1 million, or not even that. Like, but anyway, so yeah, he got drafted and he did a script, and because Death of Superman had been such a huge hit for for DC, they wanted to do that. And I would say, like, trying to do fucking Doomsday in the 90s is a bold strategy in of itself.
Yeah.
And he just basically wrote a script that was as fan-wankery as possible, which, makes sense. He's a massive comic book nerd. And they were
Hey, it's better than having someone who's actively trying to do everything against the thing that their source material is.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm getting at. So after that happened, they finally hired Tim Burton, and they hired Tim Burton to work on the picture, and he threw out the script because he didn't like it, because he's Tim Burton. He's going to do things the way he wants to it because
Tim Burton.
I mean, yeah, they hired Tim Burton because it's Tim Burton, not for anything else. And then
we're surprised when they got Tim Burton.
Well, and then the troubles began because Warner Brothers lost a lot of money before, and I will send you the video that details it because it's quite an interesting sort of.
Yeah, I'll definitely want to give this a watch because I am curious about it.
But it is, and then it then sort of led into like other cancel Superman stuff. Like there was the planned trilogy made by J.J. Abrams, so warning signs.
Oh no!
And that's the one which got slammed because a version of one of the scripts got leaked, and it turned out that Lex was a Kryptonian. People got mad, understandably. Like, that does. Yeah. I mean, it's JJ. What are you expecting? JJ Abrams is the biggest con man in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know what? He's the Frank Miller of Hollywood. He did like one thing that was popular, and he's been riding the coattails of that ever since, despite being shit.
You're right. You're fucking right.
And I'm not even convinced that and I'm pretty sure Dark Knight Returns was an accident.
Yeah.
That's how little respect I have for Frank Miller as a creator. But yeah, it's just that kind of interesting deep dive. And the long story short of it is that there was. So, John Peters, who's the producer you've probably heard of, in that he's the psychopath who beat up a bunch of his employees.
Yeah.
And famously wanted the giant spider. Also, he insisted on having a giant spider fight Superman.
I remember hearing about the giant spider, because I remember hearing Kevin Smith talk about the giant spider.
Yeah. So he insisted on that. But one of his other rules was Superman can't fly, and he can't wear.
Yeah, no, he can't fly. He can't wear the costume. Basically, he can't be Superman.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's that kind of, and I think that sort of, and I realise that it's endemic of Hollywood and what I call the Hollywood arrogance, which is to pay millions of dollars for a property that they know people like, or at least enough people like, to look at that property and go, well, clearly we can do better than this thing that has made lots of money and everyone really likes. So we're just going to do our own thing and then say it's this, and then if anyone disagrees, it's like, well, it's just our artistic vision. And it's like, but yeah, it's just pure fate. It's just the blind arrogance that I think that Hollywood has to do that, because it's like the fucking Netflix Death Note movie or Dragon Ball Evolution. Like, who fucking realistically went or look at Dragon Ball and go, you know what Dragon Ball needs? Like high school hijinks and bullies and Geeko and all that shit.
Apparently a Hollywood exec.
And also, like, apparently, like, most other shonen series after Dragon Ball, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that is the kind of joke, and that people complained about. People made that point of, why would you have Dragon Ball in a school? And it's like, that's just Bleach, isn't it?
Or hell, like a lot of honestly, like I said, like a good chunk of shonen anime.
But I mean, even one that's popular right now. That's right, Assassination Classroom.
It's been a while.
Yeah. I was like, shit, I don't know any other sort of currently ongoing series. Ass Class, that'll do. But yeah,
I don't even know if that's still ongoing.
Like,
Jesus.
Ass Class, no, it ended.
Okay.
I just said popular right now. I might have said ongoing. I don't remember.
No, you said popular right now, I think.
But yeah, it's that kind of, as I said, it's that innate Hollywood arrogance of, well, people like this, but we can clearly do better. We're Hollywood. We don't make mistakes.
Right, Waterworld?
As like you know, Waterworld, Terminator 3, any number of box office bombs, or I mean, even if we're not even talking about box office bombs and critical slammings, any number of celebrities now in trouble for the various things they may or may not have done.
Nah.
So yeah, it's the idea of, well, clearly people who pay money because they like this thing, so we're just gonna not do that thing because, well, they're idiot. Like those idiots, like how they'll like what we tell them to like because we're Hollywood.
Exactly.
And I'm sure people are gonna say that. I don't think that's like
they do.
100%. They do.
That's why they keep doing it.
Yeah, it's why they go. It's where they pay fuckloads of money to get to buy these rights, and then it's like Canon films in the 90s of the, okay, so we bought the rights to Spider-Man. Let's try and make a horror movie with a man who turns into a spider.
I forgot they fucking did that.
Well, they tried to. Someone pointed out that maybe we shouldn't do that, and thankfully Canon didn't have the money because they're cheap bastards. But yeah, it is that general attitude, and you can only really call it arrogance because no other industry feels like it has that level of, we could just clearly do better.
Yeah.
The best you'll get is games might change things, but only for the sake of, well, you've got to change it to have a video,
It's more to work for for it being a video game. They don't try to change the overall plot of the thing or whatever they were going for. It's just more of well, we need a video game, so and we can't just have them fight Doc Ock. So Shocker's here. Fuck it.
We'll call this one Shocker. But it's not. But no, you can't have these. But the long story short of it's the general idea of people won't of this. And it's the kind of a thing that's been repeated even to this day, of this belief that people won't watch something that's got Superman in because people don't like Superman. It's clearly they do, because you keep making Superman stuff, but you just won't.
You won't make you put a logo of Superman on it, but then you just don't make Superman.
Yeah, or when you do, you don't even have him be in it, or you just have Superman Returns, which aside from the fact that has a lot of its cast, or two major members of its cast and crew, fucking just gone. Not even cancelled, just we don't talk about. They've been actually unpersoned.
Right.
They've been full on China'd.
It's yeah.
But it's just Superman Returns.
But yeah, it's definitely, I think you're right, it is definitely a case of just Hollywood being arrogant and always thinking that they're better, and it's...
And then when it all fails, it's not their fault. It's, clearly, people didn't, didn't...
They didn't either, they'll put some weird scapegoat and say it's not their fault.
Yeah. It's not our fault, the project we spent millions, we wasted lots and lots of money. We wasted more money than most people will make in their life on a project that just didn't fucking work. It's not our fault.
It's not our fault nobody likes the sequel trilogy of Star Wars.
It's all because you're sexist or racist or whatever.
Or it's JJ's fault, or even though JJ is at fault partially.
Oh, it is JJ. It is JJ's fault. We literally did just describe him as
Hollywood. It's partially his fault. It's also RJ's. And also Disney execs.
And KK's. Yes, you heard right. KK Slider himself. I'm down with the kids.
Oh, that little
It's
bastard.
because
I always knew he was a fucking sellout.
Kathleen Kennedy Slider. I should have known. Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, but yeah, it's kind of, it is the it's what do you do apart from just apart from just try and cherry pick and only choose the good adaptations, but then it's like,
which is really
It's
hard
like-
to do when Superman barely gets good adaptations.
yeah, when you have like
I
two movies,
Like Superman adaptations that are good are so rare it's hard to find them even in comic books. Like I'm starving DC.
just do what I do and just rewatch the good stuff.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean.
I rewatched Superman versus the Elite the other day. That's good.
I still need to see that actually.
Oh, you should. It's got George Newman.
But you
doing
get what
Sup-
I mean though. It's like it's the Superman one frustrates me because like I mean I've said this before, but like doing the stupid shit where you make Superman not Superman doesn't gain you new Superman fans because they still don't like Superman, and then the people who like Superman don't like it because it's not Superman.
Yeah.
You don't make anyone happy. Like stuff like Injustice doesn't make Superman fans happy. The only people that are happy about Injustice's story are Batman and Harley Quinn fans.
They're not being funny. They would just buy it. They'd have bought it anyway.
Well, yeah, you can sell Batman. You can sell if you put Batman's logo on it. You can make it as shitty as you want because Batman hasn't had good things in a while, to be honest, either. Like I was thinking about it. The last Batman thing I liked was technically not even fully Batman. It was a crossover. It was the fucking Ninja Turtles crossover. Because that was good. It was like, oh yeah, this is Batman. I like this. This is fun. This is Batman. I like it. Where like every other thing completely misunderstands it, and Batman fans are a funny breed, too. I want to say, like, well, the specific ones, the ones where like they'll be like in one breath be like, yeah, Superman's broken, and then in the same breath tell you how Batman can defeat everybody in DC universe or any universe.
Yes.
And they don't even, like, in the same breath, and no, they don't understand how that's a contradiction.
I mean, it's the kind of it's the classic idea of this this assumption that because someone it's kind of like I was thinking about this because I remember reading a comment, and this is years and years and years ago, that said about Superman being Sue, and it's like I tried to explain to that person like years and years and years ago. So I said this with my usual tact and finesse that what qualifies characters as Mary Sue's is not necessarily their abilities, because you can have a character who could do basically anything. What matters actually is the way in which the way in which it's written, because it's like, as we said before, that Superman has all this phenomenal strength and powers, but that's why a significant chunk of his rogues gallery are people that he can't
just
necessarily
punch the shit out of.
So it's like, okay, like in the literal and the metaphorical sense, it's like, yeah, he can't just beat up Lex Luthor, because the whole point of Lex Luthor is he has public opinion on his side most of the time. So it's the thing where there's nothing to trace him, because Superman is bound by laws. And
He's
by
lawful
laws.
good, so he can't like.
He can't like just take out Lex. He has to have Lex get caught in the act and taken out by the justice system.
Which is why people like Lois Lane are incredibly important to deal with people like Lex.
But then you have the more literal sense of, oh yeah, he can't punch them, because then you have Parasite. It's like, yeah, he literally can't punch out Parasite.
Yeah, because that just
it's
empowers
like
Parasite.
And Lobo, someone who's just as durable as he is. So it's like all the
actually more durable because he's technically immortal.
Yeah, but that's the point. You have effectively
and then Doomsday punches harder than Superman punches.
Yeah, you've got Doomsday, you've got Metallo, all like even Toyman, all these kind of characters who have gimmicks or elements that make it so that they can provide a challenge to Superman, in the sense that he has to utilize his greatest superpower, his brain.
Right, which is what also makes his stuff like more interesting, where like Batman, yeah, you can do that stuff, but most Batman stories boil down to, alright, beat up the thug, punch the Joker again.
I did hear an interesting thing that point about Batman and the Joker, funnily enough, and that someone made the point in the reason and I actually agree with it, but I don't think it contradicts what I said before anyway, in that Batman shouldn't kill the Joker because he shouldn't be forced by society to do something. Like, what he does is he beats the Joker up and he hands them off, and it's up to society what they do with the Joker.
Right. No, actually, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so I agree. I agree in the sense that yeah, it shouldn't be on. It shouldn't be the onus shouldn't be on Batman to have to do something like take a life that he clearly doesn't uncomfortable for. But because there is the usual thing of well, why doesn't Batman just kill the Joker? It's like well, why doesn't GCPD just shoot him in the head?
Yeah, it makes more sense. Honestly, given like characters in Gotham and shit, it would make the most sense for literally one of the times that he gets incarcerated for like fucking Bullock to walk into his cell with a gun and just gun him down.
So yeah, you trying to tell me that Harvey Bullock is such a good, honourable cop that he wouldn't just shoot? That he wouldn't just say the Joker's clearly resisting arrest. I had to shoot him 12 times in the face just to be sure.
Literally, all a Bullock could have to do, it wouldn't be hard. Like I said, he could literally just walk into the cell, shoot him, and go, he was trying to escape and was resisting arrest.
What jury is going to convict him?
Yeah, who's gonna convict him?
So yeah,
Even if like Batman grabbed Bullock, threw him to the police, and then he went into court, they would just be like, "No, he's right," and
Well,
Batman wouldn't be able to do shit about it.
Batman would be like, "Man, fucking finally."
He'd be like, "What? You shouldn't have done that. No, I'll be watching you, Bullock." You know, it'd be like that.
I mean, it's part of the reason why they never say what state Gotham's in, because otherwise they'll have to admit, like, it has to be a state that doesn't have the death penalty. But even then, he must have been arrested in states outside of Gotham or other states that probably do have the death penalty. And I refuse to believe they would after his kill count hits the fucking quadruple digits.
But they wouldn't be like, "All right, let's just pull
You know
this
what?
trigger."
You know what? Just fuck this guy. But yeah, I'm on it. Like, but yeah, that's like a whole other thing. But yeah, I do think it's the unfortunate problem though, in that people misunderstand what makes characters like Mary Sue's or Mary Sue's or Gary Stu's or whoever you want
Right,
to
and
sort of-
typically in writing, at least in terms of like Batman, Superman, in terms of like when other people get their hands on the characters and write them, Batman gets hit with that stick way more than Superman does.
yeah. Because like I said, it's all a matter of like how you not what the characters can do, but how what they do works in the world and how they are challenged. Because like I said, you can have characters who could do it. Like, look what about fucking Bugs Bunny, right? Bugs Bunny can do anything.
Yeah.
Like, he can literally just do anything, and yet his adventures are still interesting because he's challenged or threatened in various ways. It's like the whole thing. Like,
And
you
usually
know,
also part of the comedy is more the karmatic retribution of whoever the fuck he's fucking with.
Yeah. It's like he's against people who are dangerous threats in of themselves, like Elmer Fudd.
Or like they were like, or like basically a lot of them are like, he was minding his own business and then they just started doing something to him or trying to kill him and he's like, well, now I'm going to come after you.
Yeah.
Like
as I
hell,
say,
there's even like one of there's a Yosemite Sam one I remember where Sam builds his house over top of Bugs' hole. Bugs comes out. He's not even mad about the house being there. It only becomes an issue when Sam starts trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Like literally, he would have been fine with it up until Sam was like, "No, I'm going to try and kill you. Get out of here."
But it's still that point of you can have characters who can do basically whatever. It's just as long as they are appropriately challenged in the story.
I mean, Bugs Bunny isn't often challenged, to be honest. Most of the time, he's just dicking around.
But the other thing is he's also punching up above his weight. He is
Yeah, he's a
punching
rabbit
above his-
punching a hunter, or a cowboy, or a robot, or a Martian, or...
Yeah. And it's also
One of the few
like,
times he lost was with the fucking, where they had the airplane gremlin. That was like one of the few times where he lost.
But that's also a reference to Twilight Zone, isn't it?
It was also a myth back in the day during World War II about, like, gremlins fucking around with aircrafts.
Yeah, that was. I think it's one of those things where it was a term that was coined to as the what's causing this? It's like it must be gremlins. It's that kind of like ha. It's all a bit of a joke, and then like many things that kind of got taken out of context and became this thing that people believed.
Because there were like two wartime, because technically that Bugs Bunny one, because it doesn't really reference World War II, gets more play, but it was a wartime cartoon, the one with the gremlin and Bugs. But there was another one that Warner Brothers did where it was Hitler on a plane and the gremlins from the Kremlin are on it and they start fucking with the plane.
this. But yeah, you see that a lot with like things that are not necessarily myths, but they're kind of like effectively jokes, or just things that people just say as like a turn of phrase that then gets like popularized and effectively transmuted into an actual myth.
Right.
Where I think like Gremlins was a term just basically to describe plane's fucked and we're not entirely sure why. But,
Probably, but it's hard to tell considering, we weren't around back then. But, yeah, I think this is a good place to leave it off, because the thing's over, the cutscene ended. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed Super Robot Wars It's Time to Leave. It's time to leave.
I didn't even say anything controversial this time.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. Hashtag free Moscow. Let's get that trending.
Yeah,
Actually, shit, we didn't even talk about the fucking coup. The whole super military coup that just kind of happened.
Oh well, maybe next
Oh.
time.
Maybe next time. Maybe it'll be over. Maybe we'll stage a coup. Who knows?